lovely Kitty Hawk Bronco build. Really am enjoying this kit. I love it a bit. Today is Saturday the 22nd of June, and I am actually in the middle of the Airfix Hellcat build, but I'm at that point where I'm waiting for Mr. Servicer to dry, and because people like to follow builds through the instructions, where, you know, unlike this one where the instructions give you a sensible plan, then I'm going to stay with the instructions. I could go on and start working on the engine and working on the bits and pieces, but I'll stay with the instructions for the viewers, because it's attracted a hell of a lot of interest, I can assure you. So yeah, part 3 of this hasn't even gone out yet. I'll probably put it on today or tomorrow, so keep your eyes open for that one. Well, no, don't keep your eyes open for that one, because by the time this goes out, it'll already be out there, won't it? So pretty stupid thing to say, Nige. So right, we've got these booms. I've put another layer of Mr. Surfacer over these seams, and it looks like I'm going to need another layer yet before we start doing any sanding. And as I've mentioned in videos before, there's no point in rushing ahead and thinking I'm going to sand this as soon as it's dry, because it will only sink after it's sanded anyway. So it's best to leave it, you know, a good 24 hours. That's why it's good with models like this to plan ahead and look at that and think, right, I don't need these parts for a while. There's lots of other stuff I can be doing. So unlike the Airfix Hellcat, with this one I'm darting around all over the place. I don't have the PE interior set for this yet. I'm going to get it, so I'm not going to start on the interior yet, because I've got a feeling the EDAR parts, they changed this area, so there may be some other stuff they change as well. So I thought, well, may as well have a look at these engines and see what they're like. Oh, while I'm on the subject, landing gear. The landing gear in this kit, well, the landing gear on this aircraft, if you look at the design of the nose gear here, okay, with this lever here, so you've got all that leverage on that point, and you look at the landing gear here with all the leverage on that point, and I've got the sprue here I can show you. If you look, when the wheel goes here and it's mounted up here, so you've got all that leverage acting on that single pivot there. I think this is one model that's crying out for metal undercarriage legs, especially as I've added the brass to the wing and that, and it's not a light kit, it's quite weighty. So I've been in touch with Alistair at Aerocraft, and I've got some brass landing gear on the way for this. They're not the rubbishy, crappy white metal things you see that will bend and everything. These are brass. They're absolutely solid. If you look back, I've done some reviews on Aerocraft before on the B24, a Typhoon nose gear, and some Phantom undercarriage as well. And currently talking to him about making brass undercarriage legs for the Airfix Hellcat, because that looks like it could well use them. So this, I think, is one model that really does need metal undercarriage legs. When you look at, you know, the design of it, and the fact that, you know, the weight of the aircraft is on that spindle there, and because the undercarriage is scale, if it wasn't, we'd all moan. You know, all the weight is gone on that, and that's probably just going to, I mean, you look how thick this sprue is here, and it's the same sort of thing. You're just putting all that weight on, you know, it's I don't know, I think it probably needs undercarriage. I think it definitely needs metal undercarriage legs. So anyway, they're on the way. As soon as they appear, I will review them, and it could well be by the time this video goes out I'll have already done that, but anyway, so that's some good news. That's something coming your way. And if you are building this kit or considering it, I would seriously recommend those undercarriage legs. They're by a company, as I say, called Aerocraft. If you look on their website, they do a lot of bits and pieces and accessories and stuff, and there's a lot more in the pipeline, so it's all good. So let's have a look at these engines. The beauty of this is sprue I and this is sprue H. So together, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these in half to stop them being so wieldy. So basically we can work with these quite easily, because everything's on one sprue, and obviously they're doubled up because there's 2 engines. So we've got our, let's see how all this looks with the fit. The first thing we're going to do is put our actual main engine halves together. So I'll cut these off the sprue. This feels really hard compared to the Airfix plastic. This is actually very nice, this plastic. I think I've commented before, I said it looks cheap, and I shouldn't have done, because it's actually really nice to work with. There's some lovely detail on here. Very nice indeed. Get a sanding stick and just take that. I won't be fussing too much about that, because these parts are going to be butting up onto other parts, I'm assuming. And we don't need to worry too much about perfection on those edges. There we go. And the same there. So I wonder how these are going to fit together. And as I'm doing this well, it's actually part one now. I called it part one before, but I've changed my mind. Part one of the Airfix Hellcat build is going up. It's uploading right now. And it's about an hour and 15 minutes long. So go and have a look at that one if you haven't already. How's that for a nice fit? Do you know what? People knock this kit. I don't know why. I've had quite a few comments and people have said they were going to get this. They really want to build it, but they haven't because of the terrible reviews it's had. And I don't really know why. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it at all. Maybe people have built it to the sequence suggested in the instructions and they've had issues, but I mean, maybe everyone's sat there laughing at me saying, yeah, you wait until you get to do the fuselage and it's half an inch too wide or something. It doesn't fit the wing. That's probably the case, but yeah, I'm really enjoying this build. I'll be honest with you, you all seen the stuff I've worked on lately, and I can tell you now, I mean, that Airfix Hellcat, I'm really enjoying that, but this, I'm enjoying this build probably more than any other kit I've built on here. I gotta be honest. Probably because I'm doing it my way. I did it my way. There you go, I sang for you guys. Right, so that's that together. And then we're going straight into fitting tiny little bits and pieces here. So why don't I get a few bits and pieces off the sprue and then I'll come back and we'll have a chat while I'm gluing them on. I knew it. I knew it. As soon as I went and said about all these parts fitting so well together, and you know, I just knew it. The next two parts I cut off the sprue, H36 and H35, little air intake or something by the look of it. And you can see they go together and then they go onto there like that. So we got this end here is like a circular filter type thing, and then we've got an intake or an exhaust or something, whatever it is there. So if we hold the circular part together, there's the fit on that part. So me and my big mouth, I just can't believe I said that. So what I'm going to do is sanding them flat and then putting them in the putting them together with some quick setting glue and then clamping them up, because I need these to just play ball really. You can see there's still a gap there now. It looks like they've probably twisted as they've come out of the mould or something, because it's weird how they sort of, they're just bent. They couldn't have made them bent in the mould. They must have, as they came out of the mould, they must just pull or something. But there we go. So I've got all that welded together now with some of this quick setting. Get plenty on there so it just turns to mush. And then I can get them all aligned, get the ribs aligned. Like so. And then I can put them in the soft peg, clamp it together, but as soon as you clamp it, it starts to move apart, because there's no location pins or anything. There's no location whatsoever really. So it's that end I'm concentrating on the most, because that's going to be the hardest to repair should I need to. I think that'll do us. And if it doesn't, Mr. Servicer will come to the rescue, as it always does with me. Everybody knows how much I love Mr. Servicer. I've actually started putting it on my cereals in the morning. So, yeah, I wonder when I get some indigestion problems, though. But, no, I would eat Mr. Servicer if I could. I love the stuff. So if you're listening, Mr. Hobby, send me some free samples, please. Because I'm probably selling lots of it for you. But usually enough of it myself. There we go. So that was our first foray into bad fitting parts. And if that's the last of it, well, we've been very, very lucky. Okay, the Mr. Servicer should be dry by now. Well, it's been on there since Saturday and it is now Wednesday, so what we're going to do is rub it all down and get rid of all these lumps and bumps. So to protect the surrounding plastic, I'm going to get some cheap masking tape. I'm going to go up to the edge like that and just put this over the plastic like so, so that I'm protecting it from being rubbed away. Because the last thing you want to do is be scouring and scratching your panels where you don't need to. Now, according to my references, that little panel there, that little square panel, shouldn't be there. So I'm going to sand that away completely. But if I do find something that says it should be there as a faint outline or something, you get it in the Edard set anyway, which I've got. So basically what I'll do, I'll take a fairly coarse-ish sanding stick. This is a sponge, I think, from a supermarket or something, but it's fairly new and it's flat. So all I'm going to do is just gently start rubbing away. I'm not pushing down, I'm letting the sanding stick do the work. And I'm just going to see what we've got. Because the idea is we want to leave that panel line at the top, get rid of all the other seams. Just remember, we've got a panel line at the bottom, but it's a bit daft the way it's been done, to be honest. So start going between the tape. And obviously we've got the Tamiya tape helping us as well. Now it's starting to wear through there, so we've got to be careful. Any detail we do lose, we'll just have to pop back in with a scriber and a pin. So you can see there the panel line there has remained. So we can quite happily now sand through the masking tape. And there you can see that top line is still there. We haven't obliterated it. I could come in on an angle. And this is one of the problems with these supermarket sanding sticks. Look how clogged up it is already. I mean, this we know it's not the fact that Mr. Servicer is still wet, because it's been on there for what, 3-4 days. So I'm just gently rubbing. I'm going to take this tape away now. And just very gently, circular motions, just gently rubbing away until that seam disappears. And if I start to see any panel lines starting to get faint, then I'll come in and scribe them. There's actually a bit of a funny seam along there. Yeah, there is. There's a funny seam. That's a mould seam. That's cool. I'm happy with that. That's okay. We can soon sand that away. And I think we're getting there. I'm going to leave that bit of tape on there because that's protecting that position light, whatever it is. And there we go. That's going to need another application on the sides. I can just feel a step there, but that line on the top looks like it's pretty much there. So I'm happy with that. Now we've got this mould seam down here to deal with, but I'm really not going to bother about that. It's just literally a swipe like that. Careful of this raised detail here, you don't lose that. There we go. Now I'm going to take my lovely flory skinny sponge and just polish away that mould seam. There we go. So one more little application on there. Let me just get my scriber and see how that looks. Remember, always start by pushing the scriber. It feels like it's going off track. Yeah, it's going off track, so leave that like that. I'm going to put some more Mr. Surfacer in there and then try and scribe that back in straight. But yeah, the way they've done these panels, it's a little annoying because they've done it right up to the panel line. So there we go. Okay, so you can see how that's done now. So now we'll do the same on the other side, and I'll show you when I'm ready to put some more in there. Okay, so that's some more Mr. Surfacer in there, a lot more in there because it had quite a low spot in the middle. So basically leave that now for a day or so to dry, come back and rub it down again. Hello guys, right, it's been a week since the last segment, and in the last segment, if you remember, I did some work on the engines and I put some more Mr. Surfacer in these panels on the side. What I've done since then, I've rubbed it down and I've rescribed them and everything. You can see them there, all looking great, all re-riveted, rescribed and everything. So that's all that done. So they're all smooth now. What's lucky is I think some decals go over the edge over them anyway, so that's going to sort of hide anything that's wrong. I need to do some more research on these marker lights on the side, and I'd give you some replacements, but I'm not sure if they're as accurate as these are anyway. And I'm looking, actually, what it might be a good idea to do is cut these out, just clean them out, get the flash out of them, and then when we're all done, put some clear red in there and use it, like, you know, just run it around with a little stick and hope it will just sit in there. So that's that done. Now the next thing to do is fit these engine side covers. Now I've done, which one have I done? I've done this one, and we can see that the fit on there is now really nice. I'm going to fit this in, but I'm not going to glue the top because I may need to manipulate this to get it to fit the wing properly. So it'll be easier to make this joint fit then when it's you know, when it's done. But these do require a little bit of work. After all, this is modelling. As you can see, it goes in like this, and that one doesn't fit quite as well. You can see we've got a gap down the back, there's a step here, and it is actually forcing this apart. And if you look closely up in this top corner here, there's a radius, and that needs to be chopped out. So I'll just show you now. We're just going to chop that out so we get a nice square corner in there. It's not square, is it? It's acute, but there we go. Just to give it a square corner for the panel to go back into. Move that one out of the way so I don't keep getting confused. So that'll make that fit a bit better up in there. And then it's a little bit uneven on here, so I'm going to take my hard supermarket sanding stick and just give that a little bit of a tickle. Okay, and now you can see again it's fitting a lot better. And now we've got some flash down the bottom here, which I'm just going to remove. Gently remove that. And what we should end up with is a panel that just slots in and fits perfect. And there we go, that's quite a lot better. Now there's a bit more there I want to take out. So we'll see where we go with that one. Okay, so there we go. And basically I want it to sit a bit deeper in, so I'm going to take my radius knife here. There's also a piece of nib on there. I'm going to take my radius knife, don't use a sharp point, use one of a blade like this shape, and I'm just going to go in and just scrape along. 1, 2, 3. Then come around the side. 1, 2, 3. Come around the bottom. And then on the front. And this was the same as we did on those side panels. It's just to get the panel to sit a little more flush. And it's also worth just running around these with a sanding stick, because they do actually sit in a groove in the back. And if the groove isn't quite deep enough, or if like there's something in there, then it won't sit in nicely. So let's see how that sits now. So that's nice and flush now, and that's ready to be glued in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold it in place. We need to be really careful here, because if we clamp it, the glue is likely to run under the clamp, so that will ruin our surface detail. If we just hold it here, we need to be careful what our finger's doing. So I really want to hold it in place like that. And I'm just going to take a small drop of the quick setting, check it's good on this side. I'm just going to put a drop in that corner and a drop in that corner, and then run the brush down there. And I'm holding it, I'm not moving it, not squidging it. I don't want anything to come out of there. I just want it to stay and not squidge any glue out or anything. So that should sit there now. And then I'm just going to come along on the bottom, just hold the bottom in place and put some in, let a capillary along. Not moving anything. There we go. See, I let it go, and now I've got some glue oozed out there. But the beauty of this quick setting is it turns into like bubble gum almost, and you can just rub it away. You see, it just rolls up like bubble gum. And there we go. That'll look absolutely fine once it's got a bit of a wash in it. This is a removable panel anyway, so the fit wouldn't have been absolutely perfect. But we can now move that around and get it all flush and get it looking lovely. And I'll just do the same on the other side. Put this one in here. Hold it in place, put some glue down the back. And just let that sit. And then do the same on the bottom edge. And just let that sit. And again, I've got glue oozing out, but not going to worry about that. I'm just going to wipe it that way. And there we go. So there you go. People talk about an awful fit. tiny bit of fettling, tiny bit of sanding and a bit of trimming with a knife, and you've got a panel that's fitting in there that's almost, not exactly, but it's almost as good as a Tamiya 1/32 scale Spitfire tail. That is probably the best fit of any part I've ever seen in my life on any model. There we go, that's all good. So once that glue's gone hard, I can just run a scriber down there, re-establish that line, job done. There's the other side. Like I say, I haven't glued the top because I want to make sure I can get the wing to fit. I'd rather have the wing fit and have to play with that line there than have to sort the wing out. But I'm sure it'll all be fine. Right, so if you've got the Aerocraft brass, bronze, whatever it is, undercarriage leg set, which I reviewed last week, I think it was, one little mod you need to do, if you notice on here, I extend the linking strut as the kit one is too short and dip up to the wheel well forward bulkhead, which is here. See in the pictures, I had a strip of plastic to the wheel well to aid location. Also, I suggest the door has the forward slot filled and extended, blah blah blah. So what Alice has done here is put a piece of plastic strip in here on the front of the undercarriage bay, because the standard undercarriage leg, as you can see here, doesn't reach. Okay, it's too short, and it's also the wrong way round. So what he's done here is extended that so that when it goes in, it's the correct way round, and it's the correct length. You can see how much longer it is there. Okay, so it's a good, what's that, a good 2mm longer. And I think for this model, brass undercarriage is a must. I mean, if you look at that there, I mean, I've glued this one now. When I did my demo, I showed it as sorry, I haven't glued it. You can see how much flex there is in that there. It's gonna break, so especially if you transport around to shows and stuff. So what I've done here, I've got two bits of 0.8mm by 1.5mm plastic strip, and I've just literally sanded them down on the width, because this is about 0.75 wide, the gap in here. So what I'm going to do is get my tweezers, get me extra thin. In fact, I use ordinary extra thin, I think, and I'm just going to hold this in position in that bay, like so, and put a drop of glue on it. And then I can just position that centrally on that there. And I've just cut a little angle on the top of it to make it look a bit more sort of like it's supposed to be there. And there we go. And now when that leg goes in there, it will sit over that, just like it was made for it. It will sit in there over that, like that. Job done. Slightly thinner, that one. There we go, it'll sit over there like that. Okay, so I'll do the other side now. Right, so looking at the build process now, remember this is called My Way, so it's got to be changed, and believe me, I'm not just doing it for the sake of it. Another quite ridiculous plan here. What they're telling you to do, take your wheel bay, make sure you get the right one. It's a good idea to number your parts, guys, to make sure you get the right one. And what they're telling you to do is, with the engine fitted, fit the bulkhead onto there. Well, there's no pins on there to go in these holes, and basically the hole that, the one hole that you've got a hole in a slot, the one hole that would line up kind of puts the bulkhead off to one side anyway. So my suggestion here would be to fit the wheelbase into the booms, fit it all to the wing and everything, and then fit those in afterwards. Perhaps fit those in and then fit the engines to that. Make sure the engines are square with the props and everything. Do that, you know, towards the end. So what we're looking at here is, this is F25. So I want F25 and G43. No, F5. F25 and F5, there we go, so we can put those out of the way. So that one is going to go in here. So basically this is going to slot in here, so I'm going to slot it in this side because we've got this part here that stops it. I'm just going to push that in and make sure it's gone in. If you look at the fit in there, it is absolutely gorgeous. And then this piece here, the other half, will just come along and go on like that. Okay, and again, make sure the wheel bay has gone into these slots back here and it kind of pinches in. I'm not going to glue them because I might need to pull it or get it closer together for this top piece to fit in. So at the moment I'm just going to concentrate on getting this here right, this bit here, glue the wheel bay in at the base there. Well, actually I'm not going to glue the wheel bay at the base there because it's not touching, but I just want to concentrate on getting the bottom of this boom correct. Now if you look down here, we've got a line of rivets either side, so obviously there's a seam directly down the center of this boom. So we need to do some really careful gluing of things here. So that's why I'm leaving this open, so I can get to the back of it and I can just go in and spot it without having anything oozing out. If it does crack at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world because it's a seam anyway. I've got a little bit of a gap there, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. Can't quite see what's going on. It looks like the problem is just there. So I just pull these apart a sec and then just remove some meat from there. There we go, that's better. So we know that's all okay down there, so I can concentrate now on getting this fin together. As I say, I'm tempted to remove this rudder. Nah. Maybe after. Let's get another clamp on here. So now with my quick setting, I am going to put a spot in there. Use my favourite old trick, pull the panels apart, put the glue in, let it ooze out. Okay, so that's the trailing edge done. A little bit more at the top, I think. I'm trying to get all this done and not have to use any filler, just be able to sand it smooth. It looks like my prayers won't be answered because there's a slight step there. There we go. So that's the trailing edge done there. Now we can just concentrate on the leading edge. Let's get some glue in there. I can get a clamp on there then. Hold that together. So put the clamp that way, and then should be able to watch the capillary action, pull this in, And that's that done. So I'm just going to leave that like that to go off. I'll do the same on the other side. Just noticed something, guys, that I haven't noticed before. There's no mention of it in the instructions whatsoever. This little scallop here, it's only half, you can see there it's only half cut out. You need to actually just open that out, just gently remove some plastic with the knife, and then check the fit. It's got to go around that little antenna on the bottom, and there we go. So yeah, we need to make sure that's clear around that, otherwise it stops it going together. That antenna is actually required on the AC model, so there we go. So let's get this undercarriage bay in here. And also, do you remember, like I said before, guys, make sure this back wall is up in that step. You don't want it to go together with it not in that step, because it will hold everything apart. So there we go, that's held in place there. So let's just get a peg on the tail, same as the other side, like so, and then another peg on the base, like so. If you also notice, I'm putting the peg, oh, I've got a bad joint there. I put the peg on the edge, not up like this, because if you put it up like that, you're likely to squeeze the parts together. Leave it on the edge, and then you're actually clamping the edges then. And I've actually just noticed I've got some sprue nib left on there. Schoolboy error, naughty boy. There we go. It's always worth looking around before you start putting the glue in. There's a little sort of quick sand here and there, avoids a load of filler and hassle later on. There we go. So yeah, the rest of the fit is fine along there, so we can come straight in now with our glue. And what I'm going to do is glue this fin fairing first. And then I can get a little bulldog clamp on that, I think, just to pull that together. And then I can squeeze the fin, make the leading edge open up, and then put the glue in there. And make sure the glue's gone right into the bottom then as well. Just brushing it over the top, you may end up with just the outer edges glued, and then when you sand, you'll see a white line and you have to stop and glue it again. I'm using the quick setting here, guys, because it's very hot. It's got a very hot welding action, and it will get in here and really get all this glued together. So again, squeezing the fin, put the glue in. The other way you can do this is the floory way. Hold it upside down and run the glue along. That saves any risk of the glue running down the edge. If you notice, what I'm doing is I'm squeezing it, but I'm pulling my thumbs away as I squeeze it, and if there's any glue on my fingers, I don't go back. Put some in the bottom of the rudder there. just in case I do decide to cut it off. There we go, they're together now. So we just put that to one side just to tack off, and then we can get this other one over and look at this lower seam. Now the front area right behind the wheel bay is lovely because we've got a pin in there, so I'm just going to put some glue in there. Keep it squeezed. And I don't want to go letting it go and then squeeze it again because I don't want any glue oozing out. I'm just going to hold it like that. What I'm after is a really clean joint with the faces made, you know, level and everything, and then at the end of the day, if I need to, I can just run a scriber down there. And that's that joint taken care of. Now moving along, get those level. Put some glue in there. If I do need to do any sanding, what I will probably do is pot mark on the area that's high where I'm going to be sanding, is mark the rivets with a pin first, make them a little tiny bit deeper, and then when you sand away, your rivets will still be there, rather than sand it all off and then trying to re-establish it. Checking it's still nice and flush. Need to make sure as well when you put the glue on, make sure your fingers aren't on the joint, because the glue will run under your fingers and destroy the finish. There we go, and we're flush all the way back now. So there we go, I'm happy with that. That's pretty much flush all the way. It's just a tiny step there which I can hold and get rid of. I just get a paintbrush so I can get the glue right the way down to the back. Again, don't let it come apart, keep it held together. You don't want the glue oozing out. And there we go, we've got a lovely, I don't know if you can see that, we've got a lovely flat even join that, I mean, yeah, I've got a very tiny step here actually. Reglue it, that will soften the existing glue, and then you'll be able to just push it back. There we go, flush. So I've got a nice flush joint there. At the end of the day, once that's gone hard after 2 or 3 days, I will be able to just run a scriber down that and re-establish the line. So that's that all done. And just run some more glue down there just to make sure. Hold it together, make sure you don't induce a step, and there you go. A bit of care and time taken with assembly saves you hours and hours of headaches and filler and scribing and riveting. That there will just need, well, in fact I don't think it needs anything. I'll just probably just very lightly rub it over with a soft sponge and then just scribe the line. I might not even bother scribing the line because it's still there. There we go. Now this front edge I'm tempted to not glue together yet until you see how this bulkhead fits. So that's going to fit in like so. So I should be able to fit this in after the wing is fitted to the boom, but we'll see about that. And as I say, I'm not gluing that there yet because I may need to move the inner out to get this panel here to fit perfectly. Again, we've got this panel going in, it's not on a seam line, so we can be really careful, get it nice and smooth, bit of Mr. Surfacer, rub that down, job done. So I'm going to go on and get this other boom glued together and then I'll come back. And there we go guys, there it is all glued together, nice and square. So that's it, so you've seen now how it's done, so now you can go away and do it yourself. Just joking. Right, so these are glued together now and the glue's gone off. This one didn't go together anything like as nice as this one. I had to use super glue. Had a hell of a step here, and if you can see it's got a step in it here, and yet it's stepped forward here, so it's like this side is longer, and also when I look along it, it needs a bit of a twist over to make it come back. So when you actually make it come back properly, this face here lines up. So yeah. The other advice I would give you is do not glue this in. I'm going to be saying do not do this, do not do that. I'm not telling you how to do it or trying to teach you how to suck eggs. This is my advice on doing it my way. So doing it my way, what I'm going to say is do not do this. So do not glue the wheel bay in any way, shape or form other than this very back middle, because you're bound to have done that when you glued that in. But don't glue any of this on the top, so you can still do this. When you move it like this, you can see the wheel bay will move around with it. So basically don't glue any of that wheel bay in. You're asking for trouble, I think. It's fine as it is. If you need to, you can run some glue around there afterwards. It doesn't need to be glued in, it's absolutely solid. So yeah, this one needs to be bent out straight. This one's a lot straighter. Both of the bottoms are good. This one's going to need a tiny touch of Mr. Surfacer. It's kind of like wavy. I didn't want to sand anything off it, it wouldn't meet up because the wheelbase holding it apart. But yeah, this one went together a lot nicer. I've also cut that little antenna off because it was going to keep getting knocked. So so there we go guys. So I'm going to let that dry now for, I don't know, a few hours. I also need to look at this trailing edge again. It's not gone together very nicely at all. That one's much better. So let this go together for a few hours. I would suggest, let this dry for a few hours, sorry. I would suggest not gluing this, okay, and not fitting this. Reason being, when you come to fit this onto here, you will see that it is actually narrower. So when you push it apart to make it fit, if I can make it stay, you will probably find the front of this is too narrow. You can see it's got play in it either side, so you can see that that won't fit in there very nicely. It's got a gap all down there, so it's easier to fit this to the wing and then make that fit afterwards with plastic card and stuff, and then blend it all in together. Unfortunately we've got a panel line there where that joint is, which is a real shame, because that's going to be quite difficult to work with, because I don't think the fit's going to be that good. But you know, we can play with it, we can make it fit better. But you can see there, that's fitted in there nicely now. That side's level and this side has got a great big step in it, so it needs to be sort of widened out to fit here nicely. If we start sanding loads away here, our flaps won't fit properly. So yeah, in fact what I'll do is I'll check the length of the flaps before I do anything. But yeah, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it my way. Don't fit those yet. Don't glue the wheelbase in. Just glue exactly what you need to and no more really, because we're going to have to do quite a bit of pulling about and jiggery pokery to make it all fit. What I intended was probably glue one side in nice to get a nice fit, and then make the other side fit, you know, and get this square at the same time. So we shall see. That'll be in the next part. So I'm going to call that a day for this one. The engines I've rubbed down and put some Mr. Surfacer over these bits on the bottom, because there was a pretty bad join there. I don't know if the engines will be exposed or not, but like I said, once we've got this done, that's the one thing I did want to check, was if we can physically put those bulkheads in once all this is mounted up. Can you imagine trying to do this the way Kitty Hawk suggests? There's just no location here whatsoever. There's not a single tab, pin, hole, slot, wedge, nothing. Oh dear, I can't be bothered. So what we'll have to do is mock it all up with tape and stuff and check we can get them in afterwards, because we don't want to be stuck without being able to fit them in. But I don't want to fit them in now, obviously, because we don't know where we're going to be. What I might have to do is glue them in, just glue them to one side, and then play with the engine frames to get the prop square. So yeah, a lot of jiggery pokery to come, but there we go. So that needs to be left to go off now. Get some Mr. Surfacer in that one, just give this one a quick sand. Job done. I need to widen the panel lines on here as well, because the panel lines run to nothing on this side. There's this side, they're lovely. And there's also, we've got that seam, if you remember, easiest way to show you, if I get a magic marker and I just run it along here, you can see there's a mould seam there, and if I sand it lightly it'll become apparent. You can see there's a mould seam there on both inner and outer sides. I've done it on the inside. That needs to be sanded away, because that's quite unsightly, and it goes all the way up. Okay, well actually it follows there's a panel line there. No, there isn't. There's no panel line there at all. Sorry, forget what I was saying. So that needs to be sanded all the way back, and it'll be the same on this one on the inner edge here. Okay, so yeah, a little bit more work to go yet, guys. I'll see you next time.